Good evening, everyone. I'm delighted to moderate this panel on FX automation and intelligent treasury management, a topic that's becoming increasingly critical in today's fast-moving and data-driven environment. I have the pleasure of welcoming Alan from SGX FX and Jean-Philippe from John Deere, who bring deep expertise and practical insight into how technology, automation, and AI are transforming FX management for corporates. Before asking the question, I will give you the floor to introduce SGX FX.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So SGX FX, we came about from a company originally that was a multi-asset class solution that was servicing the hedge funds and people like that. So we traded in a lot of different asset classes, and CEO got myself and a few other people in to start building an FX system. He wanted to also do FX, which was fine, but we very quickly discovered that FX is not like other asset classes. And so many systems that you can buy try to basically shoehorn FX into their system. And the real reason that it doesn't work is because their systems are all about buying and selling assets. I bought this, a bond. I bought this, whatever it is, bit of paper. It doesn't matter. We've bought this asset. It's worth this amount. But when you buy FX, you don't buy anything. It's one part of cash for another part of cash. You haven't bought or sold actually anything in real terms. You do have a position, you do have risk, but you haven't bought actually any asset. And this is the underlying problem with a lot of systems have in handling FX well. So we had the same problems. And we just found the system wasn't going to work for FX, and it got harder and harder to make it a good system. And eventually, our CEO realized the problem and said, okay, we're going to cut you loose. You go and build your own thing. So they created a subsidiary, which we called BidFX, and we started building our own system outside of their big ecosystem, doing what was right for FX. And at that point, our company took off. And it really became very, very successful very quickly. And that was only in 2018, I think, 17, 18, that happened. And very quickly thereafter, within 2 years, SGX turned up and started making big noises about wanting to buy us. And they were looking to expand in Asia into the FX markets, and they went and bought us up because we had quite a good... we were doing quite well in Asia. We were doing very well worldwide, and we were growing rapidly. So they brought us up, and luckily, they let us alone to continue doing what we were doing. So we've had a lot of freedom from SGX to go and continue to build an FX system that is dedicated to the FX market and does a good job there. And that has allowed us to differentiate from our competitors. And to be honest, I don't want to sound immodest here, but a lot of our competitors are now trying to copy what we do. We have grown very rapidly. We're now sort of top 3, 4, something like that in the world. And in the areas we focus on, we set the standards. So that's who we are. A lot of that has come around FX automation and using the latest tools in order to make the FX markets more efficient. And hopefully we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go on.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, indeed, I will structure my question on 3 main components. The first one will be FX automation and efficiency in corporate treasury. The second one will be AI and intelligent FX management. And then last, strategic enhancement and optimization. So my first question will be to you, Alan. How are FX trading platforms evolving to drive automation and improve operational efficiency for corporate treasurers?
Right, well, let me just start there. FX automation, right? So obviously there's a lot of people get very scared about automation, Terminator type of views of, technology taking over the world and robots deciding everything for you and what's the role for human beings and all those sort of irrational fears. It is absolutely not what's happening in the FX markets. It is not what is happening with technology. Technology is being used to enhance decision making, to make people more efficient. It is not replacing people. You still need the people to make the decisions. And in all the automation and the other stuff we've built, and you know, the automation starts on our system from what we call shaping, which is receiving the requirements to buy or sell particular currencies, and then shaping that into an order. So netting, allocations, all that sort of thing, shaping it into an order. That's where you start your automation process. And when you've got the right shaped order, you can then work out what to do with it. You want to get rid of the noise, little stuff. You want to get it done. You want to get it done efficiently at the best price with the right counterparties. That can be automated very nicely. But you still need human oversight onto that. And our manual click trade platform is the same platform as the automated platform. There is no difference between the two. So the human being who is trading can see the automated flow, can step in and stop it at any time, can do what he wants. That automation is under the human being's control, not the other way around. So that is not what's going on. Maybe.
Yeah. So maybe a question to you, Philippe, and then I will come back to you, Alan. From a corporate treasurer perspective, what are the most significant benefit and potential risk of automating the full FX life cycle, from exposure identification to post-trade reporting?
I would say I would give two examples. So we at John Deere, we implemented the in-house bank something like a decade ago. Back then, I remember spending something like 3 months non-stop, going from unit to unit in Europe, trying to convince them that not having cash is not a bad thing. And automation is great. And nowadays, you have some units, some financial directors on some units, which come to me and says like, well, JP, what do you mean we have cash? Which means it works. It took some time, but it works. I would say in general, it's exactly the same thing. Is a decade ago, we were 4 to manage something like 50K transaction a month, something like this. Now we do something like 50K transaction a day, and we are 4. So if we don't have the data, if we don't manage our data right, if we don't have our structure right, if we don't work on our implementations and our process, and for example, the way we define the risk, we don't do anything, because we need to step in every single step, and we cannot do it at 4. We need to be 40. So it not directly reply your questions, but that's my point of view, which is we need to go on the automation side. It's not a question or an investment option. It's a prerequisite to be able to be alive tomorrow.
From my perspective, I agree with you. So, on AI and intelligent FX management, Alan, where do you see AI delivering the most immediate impact in FX management? And do you have some practical examples to share with us?
It's quite a big question, actually. There's a lot of answers. I could stand here and talk, for hours, and shut me up if I start doing it. But the main points I want to get across is that, automation, it's about people's time. So you can sit. Your example with 4 people is a very good thing. You can sit there, and one person can do a lot of repetitive jobs, do this, handle all these little things, and they can get on and do all of that, and it can work, and that's fine. You're a couple of risks there. 1, they make a mistake. Errors cost an awful lot of money. 2, there's a limit to how much they can actually get done, and as you grow, you're going to need to throw more and more bodies at the problem. But that's traditionally what people have done. However, with modern systems and the levels of automation and the way the market's going now, you can turn around and say, well, that one person can focus on what's important. doesn't have to do all those silly, boring, repetitive jobs. We can automate those away, again, providing it's under its control, because the reason the control is so important is that when things go wrong, you need to be able to step in and handle it immediately. And you need to be there, because that's the other thing with technology. All technology goes wrong at some time or other. You need people and you need systems that respond to people and alert you when things are not happening the way you're expecting them to happen. But there is that's sort of that's the underlying efficiency. The underlying thing is efficiency. It's efficiency, and that allows you to grow. It also is quite important because most treasury departments are a cost center for the business. So you don't want to waste a lot of money in your cost center doing repetitive, boring jobs. You want those people there to be adding value to your business, and therefore automating the banal flow, if you like, leaves them more, makes them more efficient.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. And maybe a second question, it's a little bit similar to this one. How can AI enhance hedge effectiveness and help treasurers avoid common pitfalls like over-hedging or under-hedging?
Yeah, I'm going to, that just talks about some of the things we do. I'll come back to that. I want to get onto that slide there. So, over-hedging, under-hedging, how to use AI. It's actually all about the data. Underlying all of that, you have to have the right data. If you get the right data in, your AI can make good decisions. There is what we call a virtuous circle. So we produce analytics as to it's things like, you know, what percentage of time this bank was at top of book and on this pricing structure, what time of day they widen their spreads, what time and you can look at the aggregate over different positions and who's responding best for different currency pairs, and all of that sort of analytics we provide on the platform. That's great, but it's reading that data and then using it to power. So you've got the analytics, but then you need to make decisions from that. If the analytics are good, you can make good decisions from there. If you make good decisions, that can power your automation. Your automation brings the efficiency back in. So it's about, I call that a virtuous circle between AI, data, and analytics. The three are totally interconnected. And
there is something, if I may add. Usually, and I really love the first slide, which was about Skynets, is when you speak about AI with the C-suits, usually this is the picture they have. Skynet is there. We have issues, which reflect to the second topic, which is actually BCP plan, is when you lead some process to AI, how do you manage them if the system fail? So that's kind of the second questions. And the way I like to explain it internally is when you are a manager or top manager or C-suite for some of you, how do you trust your people? You have a framework which you build yourself about what you expect, how you expect the business to run. And you have some key points where it makes sense. So when you deal with AI, at the end of the day, the only thing that you're looking for is not necessarily the result itself. And to see if the result would be the same as you did, because the AI would treat way much more information than you would ever be possible in your life. However, if you say, for example, okay, what would be this criteria, this pattern, this pattern, this pattern, and if all makes sense, then you can trust the result. And that's the main thing as a manager, top manager, you do with your employee, you should do the same thing with the AI.
That was a good transition for my question. Actually, I wanted to ask you, in terms of strategic enhancement and optimization, what practical steps should corporate treasurers take today to modernize and optimize their FX processes?
I would say manage their data first. Like very first things. If you don't have the data right, I like the crap in, crap out. It's really true. I would say we ended up, I like to say the technology absorption in treasury, and you get the curve, and then somehow at some point you concentrate, and then at some point where you so concentrate that you start to open up to many other opportunities. So you expand a little. And John Deere, we did that. We went to the Pike, I would say, something like 4 years ago. And then we're, yeah, great. Let's implement a FX management system. Let's implement like many other things. We had like a list of items which were super long. And actually, when we start assessing such systems, we always end up with the same issues. All data are not reliable. And we spend literally 2.5 years making our data reliable. So when we speak about risk management, when we speak about BCP, when we speak about, it's all about your data. Your data, understanding your process, making sure that it makes sense, go back to basic. And then when this is clean, then you can move on.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. It does boil down to data, also analytics, because once I go back to my virtual circle, you can have great data, you don't analyze it correctly, you come to the wrong conclusions. So you need the analytics part as well, and then if you don't put the right processes in place, you also then break the system as well. So the three, and also, by the way, if you don't have the right processes, you do the wrong deals, you've got to start gathering the wrong data as well. So it is all interrelated, but data is probably the right place to start. I do agree with that. I also think, if I go back to that, there's forget all the selling blurb on the right. There are those 4 boxes are also vital. Liquidity provision, knowing who your liquidity providers, having the right liquidity providers, and being analysed their thing, vital. The trading cost analysis, knowing how much it costs you to transact in different ways, vital as well. Streaming, these are execution methods, but streaming FX gives you a lot of benefits in terms of you can start collecting data as to who's pricing what, where, and when to transact with certain people. The algorithmic hub, normalizing all the bank algos into one central hub so that you can, again, it makes it easier to use, but it also gives you a place where you can manage the different liquidity providers, and liquidity management is also vital. All of these are areas that can be automated, where you can use the analytics to drive the decision making. So there's quite a lot of that stuff there with you know.
Thank you, Alan. That will be my last question, as I see we don't have much minute left. What are the key success factors when implementing FX automation tools, technology, governance, or upskilling the treasury team?
Again, okay, I'll go to this one again. That quote there came from an energy client we had, a very big the biggest French energy company. You can work out who it is. But basically, yeah. And the reason we managed to do such a good job for those guys is because we were fast and easy to deploy. You do not need consultants and what have you to get our system up and running. It is very quickly available, and we can make it available and efficiently so. That's one very important point there. We do the integration. We integrate to you, not the other way around. We are FIX compliant. We also run a lot of different APIs and a lot of different methods to make it possible to integrate. So if you can't integrate with other systems, it doesn't work. If you can't deploy it easily, it doesn't work. If you need armies of people in order to deploy the thing, it doesn't work. And then lastly, but not least, a nice interface that people can intuitively move around and understand what's going on. So those are the 3 things that I believe led to the result at the back. And I'll just say one more slide. That's where, if you get these things right, if it's under human control, if there is transparency over what you're doing, if there's flexibility in your systems, if you're not rigidly built there, you can have a friendly AI, which is hopefully the little dog.
Thank you, Alan, for the last comment.
I would say, in general, it's the way I approach things is like startups usually do, is you need to build your own blueprint. So whatever you start on your side, you need to build a blueprint yourself. And then at some point you understand the complexity, at least a bit. So then you hire an architect, which is actually doing the blueprint. And the same thing in any type of the department. You need to first understand how it would work for you. And as soon as you understand globally how it would work for you, you hire someone on which you can trust. Which comes to my second point, is the key to success is first understanding yourself and being honest with it. And the second part is finding the right partner. And this is the most relevant key items.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan and Jean-Philippe, for your valuable insight. It's clear that automation and AI are not just buzzwords. They are becoming essential tools in the treasurer's toolkit. We hope this discussion sparked some ideas and perspectives to take back to your own organizations. And let's continue the conversation during the networking and working break. Thank you all.